so again, I'm Tracey D. This is
Tracey.
That's right. I like to call her Lady T. You know what I mean? But again, this is brought to you by Lordland Films, LordlandFilms.com. We saw 2 movies over these last few days. We saw one called
Blindspotting.
Right. Blindspotting. Right. And the other is a shocker for some when they find out that we went to go see this film, because they think that we, only review black movies, but that's not true.
We are diverse.
We are diverse. Well, you know what diverse means to some people, but we oversee movies that have a lot of various people in them. We oversee, not the other way around. Okay. And we saw Jurassic World. 2 interesting movies, polar opposite, I would say, in the messaging, though both pieces had a message concerning society. Let's start with Blindspotting. Now, so Blindspotting is based on the psychological, sociological experiments that a scientist did, and tell them more about that real quick.
It was a really good film.
No, tell them about the scientist, well,
they briefly discussed them in the film.
Right, we're going to give spoilers on this. We're going to give spoilers on this. So it's a scientist who created a painting that, we live now, so we got to go with it. It's a scientist that created a painting that you either see 2 faces looking at each other, or you see a vase. And sometimes people can't see; they can only see one or the other, and that is the concept and the metaphor and the analogy of blind spotting. Meaning that you don't see something that's there, you only recognize one thing. So in the case of our reluctant hero in the piece, it was about how people only see him as a thug, basically, and his needing to try to overcome that fact that they see him as a thug. The movie is non-linear, meaning that it doesn't go in order. Like most movies start with an initiating event, then from the initiating event comes a dramatic need, and from that dramatic need, then it goes into what you would call the hero's journey, where the hero goes into different worlds that he's never been before, and it just travels through that he meets the people who are going to be his comrades in the battle, and then it goes on from there. So that's like the hero's journey. However, this is non-linear, and I dug the way that his dramatic need came up before the initiating event. His dramatic need had to do with not wanting to go back to prison. He's on probation and he doesn't want to go back to prison. That's his dramatic need. And then the initiating event happens, so it's out of order, and then you find out, and everything is non-linear, so it tells you basically in reverse and sideways what actually happened to this guy to bring him to that. So the writing and the way that they told the story, love the non-linear, because the Black Ice Chronicles is non-linear. I love telling non-linear stories where it's not in order, where you have to pick up and follow and be uniquely minded to be able to follow non-linear creations in film. So I love that. I loved it. However, I did not like the film, and I'm going to break it down. But first, I'm gonna have Tracey tell her perceptions of the film.
I enjoyed the film. It was interesting. It was, without telling the film and without any spoilers, basically you get to feel two friends, the lead and his co-star, really good friends. They grew up together. To me, it was like adventures that they were going through within 3 days of their lives, while the main character is trying to stay out of trouble. So of course there's all kinds of twists and turns, and anything crazy that's going to happen does happen within those 3 days, because again, he's trying to stay out of trouble. So it's a really good film. The actors were really good, and time goes by really fast watching the movie, because it's like non-stop. I don't want to say action, because it's not an action adventure film, but the script was well written, the storytelling of various characters in the film. I enjoyed it.
Okay. Me, I don't give a few spoilers, so if your spoilers make you feel like you can't enjoy the film, turn off until after you see the film, and then come back and see this. This will be up on Crazy Deeyon on YouTube, and also Crazy Deeyon on Facebook, where it's broadcasting live now. But I didn't like the film. Everything is true, well shot, telling the story. The soundtrack is bomb. I mean, like E40, all of the Bay Area, Oakland MCs and artists are on the soundtrack. It's good. But the reason why I didn't like the film is, of course, it's a duo who wrote the film, and you know, it's a multicultural film, I would say. Not a diversity film where you have like people overseeing another group of people, but it's a multicultural film, which means that everyone seems to get a voice. However, the voice that it's written in is why I don't necessarily like the film. It's kind of convoluted. It's convoluted because, of course, there's a joint writing team, black guy who stars in the film, and his white partner who they write films together and they shoot films. But the voice on it was a little off because, one, spoiler alert, there's a dual friendship thing going on between the two characters, the white guy and the black guy. Black guy went to prison for an unfortunate situation, which I won't give a spoiler on that because you have to see the film to see that. But the whole thing is mixed up because you get into the story and you find out that the white guy is with a black woman and the black guy is with, I guess you would say she's Indian, but you might as well classify her as white because she's living the white life in the film. And the black woman in the film is so compassionate to the white guy, but the Indian woman is not compassionate to the man. So 3/4 of the film, he's trying to win her back for some reason that you don't find out until the third part of the film, that she was actually there when this unfortunate situation happens. And so his story is really, so the story as it's written is really not a story about him, other than he's trying to stay out of trouble. But the real hero of the film is the white character who is trying to find himself and shed himself of being an N-word. This is what the movie is about. It's about the white character shedding and being able to come out of trying to act and be an N-word because he grew up in that particular neighborhood and they were friends. So he goes around trying to compensate and be extra tough, and then the black guy who is just himself is trying to keep from being victimized and being labeled because he's hanging with this guy. So the story is about self-awareness, but it's really about the white guy.
And seeing their neighborhood change.
Yeah. Very important that the Oakland, San Francisco neighborhood, because of regentrification, that is a main character in the film, because you see the regentrification and you see part of the old neighborhood, as people will say, still existing, coexisting, and how the new, I would say, buppies, no, not buppies, but yuppies moving in are rude and overlook those who have been in the neighborhood for a while. Which this brings it to. Now, this is a major spoiler. This is very important. This is what brings it to a head. They end up going to a party where these new people who are regentrifying the area, who are moving in, have a party. And the party is majority white. And they're invited by a black female. It's her job's, her boss's party. And this is a spoiler. That's what it said. It's a spoiler. They invite them to the party, right? And so they're invited to the party, and the white guy who is going through his problems is confronted by the black guy who was there with the friend, not his friend, but a friend of the girl who invited him to the party. And he then tells him, well, you don't have to act like you're N-word, or you don't have to act like that because you're here. Just be yourself. So he takes it the wrong way. They get into an altercation, and this is where I really don't like the film, because in actuality, if it was written correctly, it wouldn't be a black person going up to a white person at the party, where it's a majority white party. A black person wouldn't care if the white person was trying to act like, they wouldn't have cared. They would have went on and said, oh, well, that's him just trying to be whatever he's being, trying to be an N-word, as he's trying to be that, instead of just being himself. So they get into it. So really, it would have been another white person that would have went up to him and confronted him about that. But it goes on, and needless to say, that he beats the crap out of the black dude. And that's when the whole film, I mean, already the message in the film was a little bit skewed because of the writing, right? But when that happened, and I mean the violence of it, the guy in real life wouldn't even be the same. His brain would be scrambled. And so that's why, and I said, well, here we go. This is another film where we're seeing meritorious manumission, where the black character is taken up for his white friend who's popping off and doing all the dirt, and even goes to prison for something that both of them were doing. So that's in a nutshell. So I didn't give too much, but I had to tell that it's really crazy the way it is. So that's why I didn't like the film, because it's not clear. But again, writing, the way it was shot,
it's entertaining.
It's entertaining the way it was shot, the music selection, everything. But that right there is just to skew a little bit, and so that's what we'll leave that. But you go see the film, and then you tell us what you think about the film if you see it, when you see it, because it is worth seeing.
Right.
It is a voice coming from a collaboration between black and white.
Right.
So it's a collaboration, so you can see it, but it's not certain scenes. If I had wrote it, it would have been slightly different. Now,
Jurassic
World. All right. Now, you should have seen Jurassic World by now, because we're just now seeing it. Oh, wait a minute. Let's go back to the movie for a minute. What's the message of the movie? What's the message of Blindspotting to the people? What's the message? What's the social message that you got from the film?
Well, my social views are different than the main character in the film, and
so a
lot of the characters in the film. So I really don't get it. But what did you get from it? I just saw it as entertainment because it was just entertainment. I didn't see anything. I didn't see a social. The only thing that I did see that was positive was, and there's no turning back on that. When they discussed the regentrification, they had the T-shirts, and people discussed their displeasure in it, but it was mostly opinion. It was irritating seeing the neighborhoods being regentrified, but to see the homes, the original homes, the standard homes in the neighborhood beside a newly architectural built home, $1 million home, now that they're moving people out of their neighborhoods and they are moving people in, and the cost to buy a home is crazy, and there's so many homeless people now because they can't even afford to live in their neighborhood, and they're pushing them out. So I mean, it was frustrating. So and it's actually happening, and so
yeah, the film was disturbing. So when you go there, it's entertaining, it's all that well written, but it's disturbing on many levels, including the voice that it was written in. That's just my personal opinion on it. However, the discarding, they go in and they're movers, and they discard memories of people. It's just messed up the way you see the old neighborhood and a new neighborhood coexisting, and how, well, not really coexisting. The old neighborhood is being pushed out.
Yeah, people being kicked out of their neighborhoods so other people can come in and build bigger homes and nicer homes, and now the neighborhood has police protection. Prior to the regentrification, there wasn't any.
Well, it was police. It was police oppression.
Oppression,
before.
Right.
Now they become
protection.
They become policeman McFriendly.
Right.
Whereas when it was an all predominantly black neighborhood, it was overseers. That's right. So again, we talk about that, and I say, hey, go see the film, see it for yourself. It is a disturbing film, but it is well written, well directed, well acted, soundtrack bomb. But I did not like the film myself because of the voice, and I guess it captured the frustration of being regentrified and being pushed out the neighborhood. So that wasn't.
They did a good job.
Yeah, everything. So now, Jurassic Park. Okay, Jurassic World. That's right. It's from the Jurassic Park franchise, and Jurassic World. So we open up, and of course we see Jeff Goldblum. He opens up the piece, really. Well, there's a hook that opens up to let you know that what's getting ready to happen is not going to be so great, right? To me, of course, the film, the graphics, the CGI, the
action,
the modeling of the creatures, all A1, great stuff. There is also a social message within the piece. Just like within Blindspotting, the social message is about being able to see be able to see both sides, to be able to see what's there that you actually don't see, so you don't come up to some preconceived notions. That's what the film is about, actually, and it's all tied into the neighborhood, which is a main character of the film, regentrification. But in Jurassic Park, the social message is, to me, about GMO, genetically modified foods. That's what Jurassic World is all about. It's about GMO. It's about using food as a weapon. That's really what the story is about. So we pick up and we meet the main characters again. The woman is duped into doing something by elderly man who is on his last legs. But come to find out, there's always someone that's crooked in the mix. Always someone that's crooked in the mix. And they go, and what you thought it wasn't, and they had to find themselves trying to save themselves along with the dinosaurs who were trying to save themselves too. It's really a social message wrapped again within the information about GMO, about genetically modified organisms, and what can happen when you bring something and create something like a Frankenstein monster. That's what it's like. One of the most interesting scenes, which has to do with the little girl in the film, which you should definitely go see the film. It is a ode to Dracula, the original Dracula film from the 1920s, the silent picture, and how the creature walks into the room, and it is truly a monster, a bedtime monster that kids would be scared of. Very nice imagery and calling back to the old of a classic film. Jurassic Park, very entertaining. Artwork excellent, action excellent. It doesn't rely on old from the previous tropes.
Yeah, totally different.
Totally different than the previous ones. You think that, oh, this is gonna happen because it happened in the last one. This creature is gonna take out that creature because it happened. It only makes logical sense. But in the end, you find out that, or it happens that something totally different than what you would expect would happen.
And the acting was good. And one
acting
of the actors from The Breakdown.
That's
was
right.
it The Get Down?
The Get Down.
Netflix.
That's right. No, from Netflix.
It was good to see him.
Yeah, he's the one that's voiced by Nas in later life as the character, as he's been successful in later life. But he stars in the film. He's the main protagonist in The Get Down. He's the main protagonist, but he stars as the he's the reluctant hero in the film.
Computer analyst.
He's a computer analyst. He's not one of those people who would necessarily be active in shape, but he doesn't, when the time arises for him to be brave, he is brave in the film.
And he's the brains.
Yeah, he's the brains of the operation. He's the one that makes sure that everything turns back on and there's possibility for them to free themselves from certain situations. It's also a nod to woman power. The last one, now that was a trope, and the last one was woman power, female power, and being able to overcome and not necessarily having the man to have to be directly by your side every minute, and in some cases even Steven, the man saves, the woman comes to the rescue, and it's all even. So the film is worth seeing, and we're gonna work this situation out, because I can tell you I am highly perplexed by this kicking out like this, because you know it's very hot
Extremely.
in Las Vegas, and we found a nice spot to do it, but the holder is coming apart because this is not only heat from the sun, but it's humidity. It's hotter than what it's ever been. Woo! So now I have to tack these two things together. I am pissed about that because I want y'all to get the full experience of what we're doing. But we're gonna work this out as the weeks go on and the months go on. So, you know, check us out. Go see these two films. Go see Blindspotting and Jurassic World. Oh yeah, something's getting ready to happen in Las Vegas by what Jurassic World says. So get prepared for that, people. Get prepared for that. So this is where we close out, and we shall see you next time on the film review. Movies, music, culture, and whatever else comes to our minds.